Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'll be doing an up-to-date review on this 2007 Suzuki Swift. Now first off, I just want to discuss about the model I've got in this review, and it's called the GLX VVTS. Yes, I've got to admit, a very strange name, but the bizarreness with the names doesn't end there, because the latest generation Swifts have names such as Attitude, Dual Jet, Booster Jet. I just find it really weird why Suzuki couldn't just name their cars something simple. Nevertheless, I've got to admit the latest cars Suzuki have been releasing have been incredible. So for example, like the new Swifts and the Suzuki Jimny, which now has unfortunately been discontinued because of the new CO2 regulations. But it's still nice to know Suzuki have really stepped up the game recently. Anyway, now let's discuss about the performance figures of this car. And this car has a 1.5 litre petrol engine with around 102 brake horsepower. Yes, I know that does sound quite unpleasant, but you have to bear in mind this car only weighs roughly around a ton. So it kind of reminds me of the good old Mazda MX-5s, where it was all about that weight reduction. And now we move towards the rear quarter of the Suzuki Swift, and more in particular this little fuel filler cap. Now, interesting thing, I did not know how to open this before the owner told me, and the way to actually open it is there's a little lever on the driver's side seat, and it's very small. All you have to do is just pull it up and this should pop open. Quite rare, I've never seen that in other cars at all, but if you're looking to buy a Suzuki Swift, that's how you open the fuel filler cap on your car. As for the design aspect, well, it's just a mature version of the Swift Sport, and that car is hugely respected within the car enthusiast community. The Swift shape has become very iconic amongst the cars sold today and hasn't aged at all. The chassis is lightweight, as mentioned, huge modifying potential, and has amazing weight distribution. And now let's talk about the interior of the 2007 Suzuki Swift. And for this segment, I've just got to say, just look at it. It's just so simple and Japanese. It just makes a whole cabin very counterintuitive. This Suzuki Swift also comes with keyless entry, and all you have to do, this is what the key looks like, is just walk up to the car. When it's locked, just press that black button and it should just unlock, and you just, obviously sitting inside your car. The difference is you actually get the unlock button on the boot as well, which you really don't see on many other cars. Nevertheless, when you are in the car, you also do get keyless ignition, and all you have to do for that is, it works quite differently to other cars. You have to turn this little replica type key thing. It's what Suzuki have made. It's quite strange, but it's inserted in when you get this blue key symbol thing, and all you have to do is insert it and then twist, and the car should obviously start. Still impressive for a 13-year-old car. On to something that I'm not quite sure everyone would like, and that is the fact the handbrake is just so long. It's half my arm's length, which I'm quite shocked about. Maybe I'm just used to traditional electronic handbrakes, but there you go. It's a big handbrake, that's all I can say. And now I just want to talk about the storage space in this car. And the cup holders and whatnot, that's fine, but the side pockets are horrendously small. I mean, just look at it. You cannot fit anything in that. I mean, shame on you, Suzuki. Japanese Suzuki Swift, and I say Japanese because this car was actually made in Japan, unlike other Japanese car manufacturers like Honda, for example, where they make their Civic in the UK in Swindon, and then it's reverse imported back to Japan. As for the initial drive, it's slower than I thought, to be honest, even though it does have 102 brake horsepower. Yeah, you do kind of notice it, and yeah, it's really lacking that torque aspect of the car. To sum up the acceleration aspect of the Suzuki Swift, it looks faster than it theoretically is. I hope that kind of just sums up that part. Since this is quite a reasonably cheap car, I think some of them are selling for around 1 to 2 grand on Auto Trader. You would probably want to know how reliable it is, and for first impressions I could tell the suspension is very rough. I know the owner did say that, and I do agree with him. And also the wind noise as well. You do get a lot of wind noise at quite high speeds, and it does get on your nerves quite a bit if you are on long journeys. There are a few niggles as well here and there, quite a few noises, but that's just Japanese cars for you anyway, old Japanese cars. The engine's quite tough, however everything else just breaks apart. But if you really want to know what it's like to actually own a Suzuki Swift, or an older Suzuki Swift, quite an old one, I have linked the owner's handles in the description box below, so you could message him if you want to, feel free. In terms of what the clutch feels, I feel like the gears are very, actually it revs to 6,500 RPM, so it's not that bad. However, shifting does take a while. I think it would need a good short shifter. If you are planning on modding this car, that would be a great modification. Suzuki Swift is also actually quite economical. I'm doing around 41.3 mpg, and I've also just noticed, whilst I'm looking at the mpg gauge, you also do get the outside temperature, which in a cheap car is quite useful, and you don't really see that in many other cars. Once again, this car is very nippy, and if I did want to throw this car around corners, I don't think I would, because we're on public roads, but I feel like it would feel like a rear wheel drive car, and I know I'll get a lot of hate for that comment. As for some heel and toe, I think it's perfect for rev matching. Yeah, bit of that, bit of rev matching, bit of heel and toe. I think it's perfect for that. Actually, the pedals are quite nicely placed in the driver's seat, and also not a fan of this. The steering wheel is very thin, so I don't like that. I want a big chunky steering wheel. Yeah, so you know, VW cars, you're gonna get smoked by them, but in the corners, you're gonna catch up. That's the spirit with the Suzuki Swift. This car's done around 85,000 miles, quite low for a 07 reg. And I don't know in terms of components underneath if there's any rusting, but I can imagine there will be some. The windscreen wipers are due for a change. They are maybe on its way out. Just a fan of this car. Speakers working, you know, everything still works at the end of the day. That's what you want. And for a car, you know, this relatively cheap, you don't really get that. Overall though, it's a great car for the price. You can, but you can't get better. I would love to test out the Swift Sport and see what that car is capable of. If anyone has a Swift Sport, let me know. Well, to conclude this review, I've got to admit the Suzuki Swift is an awesome agile hatchback for car enthusiasts that want a cheap car. The regular Swifts and the Swift Sport have a lot of potential for whatever you want to do to them, and it undoubtedly knocks out its competitors very easily. Last of all, I would like to say thank you to the owner who's let me review his car. I'll leave his handles in the description box below. Make sure you go give him a follow, but that's it from me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ciao. Let's not go to... Oh, there's two birds. Get out of the way! Oi!